and the Muslim Brotherhood, which also has never carried out a terrorist attack on Americans.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not for either one, just for the record.
No, nor am I.
But I don't have strong feelings about either one, for the record.
No.
But why do we talk about both so much?
It's been my experience. I first came to this realization when I first joined the CIA. We always have this need to have a boogeyman, whether it was, Bolshevism in the 1910s, whether it was, socialism in the 20s and the early 30s, Nazism, legitimately so. But then, in the 70s, the 80s, it became Islamism. It's like we always have to have an enemy to rally around. There it is, right
with
there.
With the death count, that seems like the one.
Oh, may I tell you a story?
I hope you will.
When I was the senior investigator on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, 2009 to 2011, end of 2011, I told the then chairman, John Kerry, I wanted to go to Afghanistan to do a formal Senate study on the heroin poppy crop, right? Afghanistan at the time was producing 93% of the world's heroin. And so I flew to Afghanistan, went to Bagram Air Base. I told them I needed to fly to Kandahar and then to Lashkar Gah, which is the capital of Helmand province. And I was doing this study. Now, as a senior congressional staff member, I had the rank of brigadier general. This is the only time in my life I ever pulled rank on somebody. And I said, they wouldn't take me down there. And I said, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you, you are going to fly me to Kandahar, and then we will fly to Lashkar Gah, and then we'll fly back to Bagram. So they relented. We went to Kandahar, did some meetings. When we got to Lashkar Gah, as you're landing, for as far as the eye could see, all you see is heroin poppy. And so I said, I want to go into the poppy fields, and I want to find a farmer. And I want to talk to him. So I had security. I had a translator, Pashto translator. We just drive out into the fields. And sure enough, we stumble on a poppy farmer. And I asked him a very naive question. I said, instead of poppy, why don't you grow things that have 2 growing seasons, like tomatoes or onions or pomegranates? Right. And he goes like this. Oh. The Americans told me in 2001 that if I told them where the Arabs were, I could grow all the poppy I wanted. I said, what Americans told you could grow poppy? And just as I said the question, my military handler pulls me by the arm and he says, we're under threat. We have to go back to the base. I never got an answer. We got back into the Jeep and they took me back to the helicopter. I flew back to Bagram. So, actually, like out of a movie. So I come back to Washington and I said to the chief investigator, I said, I'm onto something here. This is not good. So I wrote it all up just as I collected it. Well, I had a friend at DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. And I called him. I said, listen, I'm going to send you a paper, eyes only. I just want your thoughts on it before I send it to John Kerry. So he calls me back a couple days later and he says, buddy, you know you're not going to get this paper published, right? I said, why not? He said, Afghanistan produces 93% of the world's heroin. Almost all of that heroin goes to Iran and Russia, and we want them to be addicted to heroin. It weakens their societies. And I never got it published. Well, fast forward years later.
That's disgusting.
We've got a fentanyl epidemic in this country. That fentanyl is coming from China and Mexico. They want us to be addicted to fentanyl because it weakens our society. And that's why we're in the predicament that we're in.